Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Let's dive into the story of Battlefield 6. In my opinion, this game's story clearly takes a lot of inspiration from Call of Duty. There are tons of scenes and events that totally remind me of moments we've already seen in Call of Duty, just in a different way. Anyway, let's check out the story together, and make sure to drop your thoughts in the comments. The story kicks off in Georgia in the year 2027. We play as Dylan Murphy, a member of the U.S. Navy, stationed at one of the American bases there. At this point in time, trust in NATO has dropped big time, and a paramilitary organization called Pax Armata is rising up, basically taking NATO's place in different countries, including Georgia. At the base where we start, the U.S. troops are actually preparing to withdraw, and the plan is to hand the base over to Pax Armata. Murphy and his team are busy clearing things out when Pax Armata suddenly attacks the base. But here's the weird part. They were supposed to take control peacefully, so why the hell are they attacking? The Americans try to defend a base, but they quickly realize they're surrounded. When things start going south, they decide to destroy the servers that hold critical NATO data, just so they don't fall into enemy hands. Turns out, that's exactly why Pax Armata attacked. They wanted to grab those servers before the Americans could take or wipe them. We still don't know what's actually on those servers, but by the end of the story, it all becomes clear. Murphy and his squad eventually managed to blow up the servers with C4, making sure Pax Armata doesn't get their hands on them. They escape in a helicopter to regroup with other NATO forces and report what happened. But of course, Pax Armata isn't letting them off that easy. They shoot down the chopper. Murphy wakes up to find his entire squad wrecked, surrounded by Pax Armata troops. The only thing left to do is fight to survive. One by one, his teammates are killed, and just when Murphy's about to meet his end, a rescue chopper shows up and pulls him out. That whole experience leaves Murphy with a deep grudge against Pax Armata. The world still doesn't know why Pax attacked that base until a few days later when they assassinate the UN Secretary General. And what does NATO do in response? Absolutely nothing, total silence. That inaction causes 12 major NATO members to withdraw from the alliance, completely losing faith in it. And who do they turn to instead for protection? Yep, Pax Armata. Now the US wants to both protect what's left of the world and figure out how Pax Armata managed to gain so much influence. So they form a special forces unit called Dagger 13. The story jumps ahead to 2028, 1 year after the Georgia incident, and players now take on the role of Gecko, a member of Dagger 13, a team founded and led by a woman named Mills. Mills actually works for the CIA, and she handpicks a few skilled Navy soldiers, putting them together to form Dagger 13. This time we play as Gecko, and our mission is to head to the Strait of Gibraltar and stop Pax Armata from taking control of it and turning it into another one of their military bases. You probably already know where the Strait of Gibraltar is. It's that narrow passage connecting Africa and Europe, right at the southern end of the Mediterranean Sea. Dagger 13, led by a man named Carter, arrives at Gibraltar. Their mission has two parts. First, Gecko and a few team members parachute into the mountains overlooking the strait to take out several enemy military sites. Meanwhile, Murphy and another soldier named Lopez launch an attack from the sea, so the team splits into two groups. Both groups successfully complete their objectives and regroup to hunt down the Pax Armata commander in Gibraltar, a guy named Kincaid. Turns out he's got some kind of history with Carter, the Dagger 13 commander. Even though Kincaid killed some of their men, the team decides not to act out of anger. Instead, they want to capture him alive and extract information from him. But by the time they reach his HQ, he's already gone and wiped everything clean behind him. With the Gibraltar mission over, the team now has a new target, Kincaid himself. Their next destination, Cairo, Egypt. Mills suspects that back in Georgia, during the first mission, Pax Armata was after some kind of special data. She still doesn't know exactly what, but intel suggests there's someone in Cairo who might have answers. At that time, Cairo is in the middle of a civil war. Total chaos. Protests and clashes are happening all over the city, mostly because of Pax Armata's cooperation with the Egyptian government, which the people absolutely hate. That's what triggered the fighting between civilians and the regime. Amid all that chaos, Dagger 13 is trying to find a man named Salim, the one who supposedly knows what Pax Armata was looking for in Georgia. During this mission, we also find out how Carter, the Dagger commander, and Kincaid, the Pax commander from Gibraltar, are connected. Apparently, Kincaid used to be part of the SAS, and during a mission tied to Battlefield 3, his team had to retreat, leaving him behind. Since then, he's held a deep grudge against the US military and ended up joining Pax Armata. Eventually, the team tracks down Salim in Cairo, but Pax Armata gets there first and has him under heavy guard. When Dagger 13 finally reaches him, Salim's been shot. We still don't know who did it, but as soon as he hears Mills's name, the Dagger commander, he reacts. It's like he knows her. He says, "I trusted her. She made me a promise." The team presses him for info, and with his last bit of strength, he points at something. Turns out the data is hidden inside his finger. Salim dies, and the team cuts off the finger and takes it with them. Instead of giving answers, Salim just raises more questions for Murphy and the rest of the squad. Why was Mills working with Salim? Why did Salim trust her in the first place? And why did he freak out when he heard her name and said she broke her promise? Carter decides they need to bring the data finger back to Mills. Maybe then they'll finally figure out what's really going on. Apparently, Salim was actually a double agent. He'd been spying for Pax Armata, gathering intel on how they could pull off an inside job, a domestic attack against the United States itself. From the data hidden in Salim's finger, the team discovers that Pax Armata's next target is Brooklyn, New York. Dagger 13 tracks down where Pax's safe house is in Brooklyn and finds out that Kincaid is planning to use heavy military equipment to launch missiles from the sea, aiming at key parts of the city like bridges, tunnels, and even skyscrapers. Inside the safe house, they find a tablet that's still online, and suddenly Kincaid's voice comes through. He's trying to contact his men. Carter picks up the tablet, and Kincaid's face appears on screen. He looks shocked to see Carter alive. Carter says, "If I'd known you were still alive, I would have come back for you. Things could have turned out different." But Kincaid just replies, "The world's about to change," and cuts the connection. The team realizes Kincaid had smuggled equipment into the city long before, stuff he used to build a transmitter that would guide the missile strikes from offshore. But the big question is, how the hell did all this get past US satellites, cameras, and intelligence agencies? Who helped Kincaid sneak that gear in and build a transmitter right under everyone's nose? Following the signal, Dagger 13 tracks the transmitter and discovers it's mounted on a moving train racing through the city. They decide the only way to stop it is to blow up the Brooklyn Bridge using an airstrike, cutting off the tracks and disabling the transmitter before the missiles can lock on. In the final moments, Carter manages to jam the transmitter's signal, but a few of the launch codes had already been sent, so a handful of missiles still fire toward New York. Luckily, instead of hundreds, only a few make it through, and the team just barely prevents a total disaster. One of those missiles explodes near the bridge, right where Carter is stationed. The blast knocks him into the water and leaves him badly injured, but he survives. While recovering, Carter finally pieces it all together. The attack on New York wasn't the real goal. It was just a diversion, a smokescreen to draw attention away while Kincaid and Pax Armata get close enough to assassinate the US President Hernandez. Now Dagger 13 has a new mission: protect President Hernandez before it's too late. The team rushes to his location, but by the time they arrive, the attack's already underway. They fight their way through and join up with the president's security detail. The Secret Service insists, "We can't move him. It's safer to stay put until we secure the area." But Dagger 13 disagrees. They believe this is the best chance to get him out. President Hernandez says, "If I don't get out there, I can't lead the rest. Brooklyn won't survive if I hide here." So he decides to take the risk and escape with Dagger 13. Their original plan is to evacuate by helicopter, but Pax Armata's already taken control of every chopper in the area, so instead, they load the president into his armored limo, with the Dagger team following close behind to cover him, aiming to reach the coastline and get out by boat. They manage to reach the docks, but just as they arrive, the boat gets hit by an RPG and explodes. Moments later, Kincaid and his men surround them. Murphy and Carter break off from the rest of the group, heading straight for Kincaid himself. Kincaid manages to capture Murphy and beats him senseless. Just when he's about to finish him off, he notices that the president is being taken away by boat. Furious, he decides to end Murphy's life right there. But before he can pull the trigger, Carter shows up, aiming his gun straight at Kincaid's head. At that exact moment, Kincaid's men arrive, and while Carter's attention shifts for just a second, Kincaid lunges forward, stabbing him and knocking him to the ground. Murphy, too weak to move, can only watch as Kincaid takes his revenge, stabbing Carter again, right in front of him. Over the comms, the team hears gunfire and reports that U.S. reinforcements are closing in. Kincaid turns to Murphy and says coldly, "Get out while you still can. You have no idea what's coming for you." He spares Murphy's life and disappears into the chaos. Murphy crawls over to Carter, desperately trying to stop the bleeding. Carter looks at him and says, "Don't let this break you. You're the one who has to lead now. The team needs you." Moments later, Carter dies in Murphy's arms. Even though they've lost Carter, the mission is considered a success. The president is rescued and moved to safety. Later, in a national press conference, President Hernandez vows revenge. Pax Armata will pay for what they've done. We will hunt them down, wherever they are. After that, Dagger 13 is sent on a new mission to Tajikistan, where Pax Armata is reportedly storing NXT warheads, advanced missiles powered by a mysterious substance called NXT. No one really knows what NXT is yet, only that it's extremely dangerous. The team now has a new member, Hemlock, the only CIA operative among them. The rest, including Murphy and Gecko, are still Navy soldiers. During the mission, the team is forced to blow up a massive dam, leading to one of the most intense and cinematic moments in the whole story. They eventually reach the Pax base with Hemlock and realize the warheads are fully armed and moments away from being launched. At that point, the mission shifts. They can't stop the missiles from firing, but they can redirect their flight path, making them hit the base itself instead of their intended targets. As the missiles fall, Murphy and a few others manage to reach the underground bunker just in time, but many of their teammates aren't so lucky. A lot of them are killed in the explosion. Inside the bunker, Murphy discovers that Kincaid, a key figure they've been hunting, is also hiding there. The team captures him, and at that moment, they receive an order from Mills, their CIA handler, to kill Kincaid immediately. However, Kincaid reveals a shocking truth. He claims that he has been working for Mills all along, and that she was the one who created and led Pax Armata, the very enemy the team believed they were fighting. According to Kincaid, Pax Armata was never a rogue terrorist organization. It was secretly formed by the CIA as part of a larger plan. The purpose was to create a powerful, visible global threat that would justify expanding the CIA's authority, reducing NATO's influence, and increasing American dominance on the world stage. Mills had been behind the entire operation from the beginning, using Kincaid as her operative. However, the plan didn't go as expected. Over time, Pax Armata grew beyond the CIA's control, and Kincaid stopped obeying orders. The organization became a real and unpredictable threat. In response, Mills formed Dagger 13, the elite team Murphy is part of, not to stop a terrorist group, but to secretly eliminate the evidence of the CIA's involvement and clean up their own failed experiment. When this truth is revealed, Murphy and his team are shaken. They begin to believe Kincaid, realizing they may have been manipulated from the start. They decide to take him alive in order to uncover and expose the truth. But there's one major complication. Hemlock, a CIA agent secretly embedded within the team, is still present, and may be there to prevent exactly that from happening. Right then, Mills orders Hemlock to kill Kincaid, so Hemlock just shoots him, and Kincaid dies. Immediately after Kincaid dies, Mills uses a fighter jet to order an attack on the base to wipe out the whole area, including Dagger Squad, and bury the whole thing for good. Even though Hemlock has always been a good, obedient soldier and did exactly what he was told, he can't stomach this whole thing, so he helps the squad escape. The squad manages to get away in a helicopter, and they watch everything that goes down from above. Keep those fires and smoke in mind. I'll need them for the end of the video. Murphy and Gecko are furious at Mills, saying she needs to answer for this crime. Hemlock says a guy like Kincaid isn't a solution, he only thinks about causing chaos. And if he got the chance, he would have preferred to kill all of us instead of working with us. September 23, 2028, Virginia. They head to Mills' house. Mills is totally shocked that they're alive. She first pretends that the attack on the Georgia base after Kincaid was killed wasn't her doing. But the squad starts searching her house for files, specifically looking for something called Project Veles. Project Veles was a tech the CIA had created to hide Pax Armata's movements from satellites. Basically, wherever Pax Armata was planning an operation like the one in New York, they blocked the satellite imagery so their movements wouldn't be seen from space. Remember how Pax Armata attacked in Georgia at the beginning of the game to get the NATO database? Well, here we find out those servers weren't the NATO database at all. It was this Veles tech, and Pax Armata wanted to steal it from the CIA so that even the CIA couldn't track their moves anymore. Murphy is super upset that his men died in that helicopter for something like this, and Mills is trying to defend herself, saying they did all this for the sake of America and all that jazz. Suddenly, Pax Armata forces show up to kill Mills. Dagger squad ties Mills up and starts shooting at the Armata soldiers to stop them. Mills uses the chance to untie her hands and run away, but they catch her again and bring her back. Mills explains that Pax Armata started years ago. She didn't found it alone, and it's way bigger than anyone thinks. But the squad believes she's the one responsible for all these events and the deaths of so many people. Hemlock even says, "This woman is dangerous to the country. We have to kill her." The squad debates a bit about whether to kill Mills or arrest her. Then Murphy says, "I know what we have to do." Everyone leaves, and he's left alone with Mills. He points the gun at her and says, "If you have any last words, say them." The screen goes black. Here, it looks like Murphy killed Mills. But if you ask me, Murphy didn't shoot Mills because it makes zero sense to kill the only person who knows everything about Pax Armata. I think Murphy did it so Hemlock would think Mills is dead, because in a part of the game when the squad is at Mills' house and the CIA's role is revealed, Murphy gets suspicious of Hemlock and asks him, "Did you know about Pax Armata and Mills?" He says no, but it looks like he's lying. There's a good chance that, like in Warzone where they push the Black Ops story forward each season, the rest of this story will continue through the Battle Royale mode, which is coming out soon. Another point I want to make is, if you've seen the trailers for the Battlefield 6 Battle Royale, the playing zone doesn't shrink with toxic gas, it shrinks with fire. Now look at that explosion and fire scene in Georgia again. It's likely that the fire we're seeing there is the same fire that shrinks the zone in the Battle Royale, and this could be yet another reason for the Battle Royale mode to be connected to the continuation of this story.